What's good? What's crack a lacking and shellacking packing? So we were discussing the endangered alpha male and the agenda that it leads toward, that it works toward. Now, ridding the world of the alpha male that isn't part of the 1% or the New World Order is one of the most important tasks of the Illuminati or that such secret society. Because, like I said, the alpha male, the alpha males are the protectors of the villages, of the countries. You know, you now there were quite a few warrior women that could hang with and topple the their male opponents, like Queen and Zinga, just to name one. And but even a warrior woman needs a warrior man to have her back. If she decides, if she ends up being the leader, she's the better strategist than her male counterpart, so be it, right? But you still need you still need the energy of the alpha male to bring about balance, and that's what it's all about. It's about balance. They're trying to topple the scales, tip the scales to one side, right? So, like I said, they attach words to masculinity like toxic, or they call you a toxic male, or something like that. And they give us soy and tell us it's nutritious, and not just soy. There's other foods containing phytoestrogens that effeminize men. So, like the hops in beer, hops has the most the highest quantity of phytoestrogen than any other consumable, anything else that a human being could consume. And they put hops, of course, in beer. And what do men do? After work or on the weekend, they sit around, you know, uh, pop a can and drink some, drink a 6 pack or two. You know what I'm saying? And chit chat and talk shit, talk about stats. Talk about what other men are doing to entertain them while they sit around, and they know all the stats. They watch Sports Center. They got to see all the highlights, all that. Me, I was never a big watcher of sports. I'd rather participate. I don't keep up with football like that or anything like that. I keep up with my 49ers. Even though I don't even do that anymore because fuck the NFL. And even sports such as the NFL are trying to feminize the players in many different ways. Like you got players wearing weird skin tight stuff, wearing dresses and all these colors and walking around with their ankles out, in high water pants. There was a point in time where, if you were walking around with high waters on, a cat can come up to you and be like, "Man, why don't you pull your shoes up?" You know what I'm saying? Because you got such a huge gap between the hem of your pants and the top of your shoes. Like, you get clowned for that. Like, don't nobody want to see your little ashy ankles, bro, unless you're wearing shorts. And I don't even want to. I don't want to see that then. But it's wear some shorts if you want your skin to show in your lower leg. Wear some shorts. Not capris. You got cats wearing capris, looking all feminine. Listen, they want to call these things that make us. I mean, male being a man is much bigger than what you wear, right? But what you wear, displays displays what you are, if that makes any sense. You know, I mean, in the way that we design clothes, the way we choose the clothes we wear, it's not an accident, right? So when the first person, whoever wore clothes, decided to wear clothes, they chose a style that would suit them and suit their personality and suit what they were. Going back a long time, we're not naked. We're not running around naked. So, when we wear what we wear, it has to enhance who we are, or something like that. Not necessarily enhance, but you know, if I wore a skirt, if my big ass wore a skirt, right, in a halter top, I'd look ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Like it's something that it would bring something to the eye that would make me think, okay, if I see somebody my size and my height and my stature wearing a skirt and a halter top, it would be like I would be disgusted. Not disgusted, but well, yeah, disgusted. I'd be disgusted. I gotta be honest about it. And it's a natural thing. It's not something. It's not because it was a social construct, right? Because my dad wasn't around, but I had a stepdad, and I had my mama, and you know, when they got me clothes, they wouldn't sit there and say, "Now this is what men wear. This is what boys wear. This is what you're wearing." And at the same time, I didn't have a desire to wear a dress. When I was at the store with them, or the department store, I wasn't like, I wonder how that dress would look on me. But it wasn't taught to me that way. I wasn't taught that. I didn't have to be taught that, right? My stepdad wore man clothes, and my mama wore women's clothes. You know, so it was a natural thing. And in different cultures, they wear clothes differently, and it's natural for them, and that would be masculine or feminine to them. It would be something that they would wear. It'd be a symbol of who they are. Like in Scotland, they wear kilts, which is essentially a skirt. But in that culture, it's not called a skirt; it's called a kilt, and it was a manly thing for them to wear. That was what they wore. They wore it in battle. They wore it out in the fields, you know, and all that. But you wore a kilt. It wasn't like a skin tight, you know, um, skirt that came down above your knees and you could barely walk in them because it's so skin tight. They didn't wear halter tops. They didn't wear bras. You know what I'm saying? So, and bras are probably not good for women either. They're not actually, but that's another story. Um, so yeah, okay. So in different cultures, you wear different shit that symbolize who you are. In Africa, you wear what you wear. You might wear a robe. You might wear a loincloth or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But your chest is out. You wear certain things. Whether it be armbands, that accentuate your arms and stuff like that. While the women, they'll wear the long skirts or something like that. But you could determine who the man and the woman are. Now they say, oh, you can wear what you want. Cats are running around wearing dresses and things like that and skirts, like it's the norm, and this is what they're pushing out for the children to see. And like, uh, what's his name, Ghost Dog or freaking Thug Life or Thuggy, Little Thuggy Thug, whatever the hell his name is, Young Thugger, Thug Wolf, I don't know, Young Thug or whatever. He wears a full-on wedding dress, and sucks on the barrel of a gun. You know what I'm saying? So there's two things going on with that, with him putting his mouth on the barrel of a gun. It's symbolizing him being a tough guy, right? He's supposed to be a tough guy. Young Thugger is supposed to be a tough guy who is running around putting phallic objects in his mouth, and not only is a phallic object, but it is an instrument of death. So there's symbolism in that. So you're telling the young black man to suck phalluses and die, you know, while wearing a dress. That's what you're saying. You're saying you're telling the youth out there that our lives are worth nothing. We're married to death. That's basically what we're saying. I'm married to the game. I'm married to the game. Shut the heck up, man. Go get a woman, have some children, and be a man. Protect that child. Protect that your wife. You can't marry the drug gang. You can't. You can. Actually, you can. You can marry the drug gang, but it always ends in a nasty divorce. Divorce by death or divorce by prison. And you can try to stay married to the game in prison, but she ain't gonna wait on you. Nope. She's gonna go to the next man, and that next man might feel a little intimidated, because the game got kids by you, and the kid, the baby daddy, always got action. Always got action. I know I'm taking the metaphor too far, right? Not. Listen, man. You can't marry the game, dude. All right? The drug game is not your wife. You can't have kids with it. It won't love you, and you can't. When you die, it's not going to be, it's not going to inherit stuff. Just shut up, man. You know, they even got Joe Budden running around talking about wearing purses and shit. What'd you say, son? I left my popcorn. Oh, okay. Don't worry about that. So they got Joe Budden, one who could be seen as an alpha male, running around wearing purses and shirts with filigree on it and all that stuff. He got that gig on Puff Daddy's Revolt Network, and now he's wearing uh, high water pants and stuff like that. I mean, he was already transitioning into what the young cats are doing, which is wearing skinny jeans and showing ankles off, and now he's wearing shirts with flower filigree on it and all that stuff. And it's real subtle. But he talks about wearing purses on his podcast. Now it's like, you know, the alpha males that did watch him, because he portrayed that alpha male. He had that. He projected that. He projected the alpha male. You know, uh, he projected the alpha male aura. But now he's running around talking about wearing purses and things like that. And he's becoming. He's being softened into a beta male, in my opinion. You know, I mean, we all know and heard things about Puff and how he likes to court his male talent. Listen, it's my opinion. You know, I mean, once you get into that game, once you put yourself out there and you reach a certain level of fame and stardom, there's certain things you got to do. And one of those things is to help push this hyper feminist movement, and things like that. You're pushing a hyper feminist movement that you have to. And there's other things you might have to do. You might have to do some gay stuff. You might have to, I don't know. Like this is all this is speculation, right? We haven't seen any proof of this. There's some proof of some crazy stuff going on, having to do with child sacrifice and spirit cooking, and you sacrifice your family to seal the deal with the devil. You know what I'm saying? It's a cold game out there, man. Cats get cats reach a certain level and they wild out. You know, they trip. They drink the Kool Aid. So you know, and it's all in an attempt to soften the men and turn them into feminine, skirt wearing, purse sporting, roller skate biting, pillow biting, children fondling uh, idiots. You know, and they love, and that's the thing with the hip hop culture. They do it via the hip hop culture because hip hop reaches so far. You know, hip hop has such great reach. Everyone loves hip hop. It's all over the world. Everyone knows what hip hop is. It's translatable. It's relatable. So they use it to send these messages out and put people under spells. So that's what it is. It's spell casting. You know, it's spell casting. So that's one way they're using it. That's all it is. Hip hop has been hijacked by the secret societies that run this world. They saw the value in it right away, and they grabbed that shit and they took it and they did what they had to do with it. Now it's being used as a weapon against us. And these Negroes of mass destruction are behind the trigger. Get Negroes of mass destruction, get enough of those to have so much influence over the people, and then you just come on. All our leaders, the leaders that we have that are out on display, are great disappointments, man. They're not they ain't doing they get not getting shit done, man. Look at Farrakhan. He has so much influence. He got 2 million people to come out to these Million Man marches, and what did he do? What did he do with the latest one? He did it on a 3-day week in front of a building, government officials who aren't going to work today. And then you have all these vendors that are getting paid all this money, and not only that, but you're putting money into the machine, the corporate machine, because people have to get hotels, they have to fly. So you're giving this money to all these non-black owned businesses just for these people to come out to this march. And not only that, you charge people $99 a piece. So if you have, wow, you have 2 million people show up to these marches, and you charge them each $99. What you got? What's two times 99? You know, 2 million times $99. Whew, that's a lot of money. Is what it is. Let's say it's $100. That's $200 million right there that you made. Farrakhan made $200 million to have 2 million people show up and buy stuff, and for him to talk about bullshit that will not further our communities. It will not progress our community. That's what you did, Farrakhan. Yeah, I said it. What? And it's only half his fault because these idiots show up to the second one, knowing he didn't get shit done with the first one, but he got all this money. So yo dumbasses went out there on a 3-day weekend, and he, how was he able to get a permit? Protest the government and stand in front of a government buildings in the Capitol. Where they do that at? So now Farrakhan is a Scientologist, and he's bringing people over to that, bringing his flock, I'll say. But no one's talking about protecting manhood from these hyper feminists who have no idea what being a strong woman and empowering women is all about. When are they going to do something about the statute of limitations? I keep touching on that, right? Because let's face it, a lot of these feminists shit on women who take too long to come out against an abuser. You know, you can't dictate how long a victim has to come out and tell their story and get the person that victimized them, get them locked up or whatever. Remy Ma, you can't dictate that because it's trauma. It's traumatic to be. Imagine being raped by a man or anybody. They violated you completely. They just overwhelmed you, took advantage of you, and just did this horrible thing to you that can never be taken back. And then you see other women getting attacked, and people telling them, "Oh, you're a liar," because the person they're accusing is so likable. They're famous or whatever. You call them liars, or you trying to get some money. So you're a victim of that, and then you see this going on in the world. I can understand why one would hesitate to come out, even as a man. Men who get molested or whatever. That's why they say 1 out of 6 men have been molested. But you never really know because most men aren't going to talk about it. 1 out of 3 women. And then sometimes they don't even talk about it a lot of the time. People don't do shit where it counts. They just want to attack the wrong thing, barking up the wrong tree, coming after alpha males. I almost fell into that trap. I almost fell into the toxic masculinity crap because I was taking the sociology and they played this video. We were getting into social engineering, or whatever, socialization they call it. Basically, how society shapes and molds people to fit into society. That's what socialization is. Well, they showed this movie. I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's a documentary. It's about the mask I wear. I think that's what it's called. And this is about men who are being pushed too hard to be and behave like men, and it's causing a lot of problems in their lives. Like men like are taught not to be emotional, not to express themselves in an emotional way. They're taught to be strong and suck it up and don't bitch and complain. And it leads to you know these men or boys doing harm to themselves or others. Because they have so much pent up energy that they need to release because they've been told all their lives you can't express yourself, you can't be emotional. You know, and like don't it talks about pushing on the people. Uh, yeah, go through his heels. It's kind of choppy. So yeah, like I was saying, um, so yeah, so they wrap it up in one neat little bow. They mix teaching with bullying and say that it's all one thing. Now, I almost fell into that. What men should be able to express themselves, should be able to talk, and should be able to be emotional about certain things. You know, and they can be men while they're doing that. We can still shape and mold them to be men because being a man is not about uh, bottling shit up inside and exploding on people when you boil over. That's not what being a man is all about. But that's what they're saying it is. You think women just are come out with everything all the time? They hold shit back too. They might. They did studies. They talked about studies being done, and it showed that women are more expressive and by nature. You know, but we can teach our boys to be men and to be strong and how to use their hands and how to fight and what appropriate attire they should wear. We can do all that and still allow them to be expressive, and emotional. They can do that. So back to my son back there, who's over there talking to himself because he's so cute. I love you, son. Son, I love you. He gets embarrassed when I talk about him. Son, can I get some love? Oh, he's mad because we're going to the other part of the market. We gotta get mommy some food. You see him rolling his eyes back there. So if my son wants to hug me and give me a kiss on the cheek, I can allow him to do that and still teach him how to be a man. I can give him hugs, you know, and all that, but sometimes, just being who I am, having nothing to do with being a male or being masculine. Uh, okay, son, thank you. He's telling me I can only get one thing from the farmers market because he's done. He's done being in the car with me. So he's done with farmers markets. So uh, yeah, like I was saying, I can still allow him to express himself, and he can still, I can still teach him how to be a man. Those two things aren't aren't attached to each other. Like they're not. They don't go hand in glove. You know, you can express yourself to your homeboy. You can tell your homeboy you love them, and still be a man. You still be an alpha male. That's very possible. You know. So yeah, that part. You know, telling men they can't, they shouldn't express themselves and all that. You know, like if my son cries after he gets a scratch, I can tell him to suck it up. I can tell him to put a band-aid on it, drink some water, you know, and keep it pushing, keep playing. But I'm not gonna tell him to stop crying necessarily. I'm gonna let him get that out, you know. Uh, so yeah, don't confuse things, man. We need alpha males are very much needed in society and in this world. Believe you me, because the oppressors have them. They're not giving up their alpha males. They don't want us to have ours. So when they come through to do whatever they want to do to us, we can fight back, and that's what it's all about. Weakening us, weakening the number of alpha males in existence, so that they can much more easily come through and do what they want to us. They can be their, they can be tyrants and have their way with our women and have their way with us if you let them. And this is what we don't want. We want to be strong. We want to be powerful. We want to be powerful as a people. We don't want a bunch of men running around behaving like women, and vice versa. We don't need a bunch of women running around and behaving like men. You know, there are a lot of ways to. There are a lot of things we have to do to fight that. We gotta put an end to these, child molesters. That's key, because these child molesters are damaging these women and men, and making them, it's traumatizing. So they switch up emotionally, and they get confused, and they start liking the same sex. You know, they start being, they start liking. So you know, we have to deal with that. So there's a lot of things we got to deal with. And if you start small, you know, let's say you get with a group of people, a small group, and you buy some land and you go live on that land with that group. You form a village, and you can police your own village the way you need to, and you can better keep an eye on the people in the adults in that village and make sure they're not doing any inappropriate things to the children. You all come on one accord and decide how you want to operate that village and all that. And then of course you have the leaders, making shit happen. You know, and we take care of our own, and we build out from there. We build a system. You get rid of things like, you might have to get rid of porn. You might have to get rid of porn, because some people just don't have discernment, and I keep talking about discernment. You know, people are so easily manipulated and brainwashed by what they're seeing and what they consider entertainment. So a lot of this is breeding from porn, from what I understand, according to certain studies. Men, we get all, riled up watching porn, and we have to release somehow. It's a chemical reaction, actually. It's really actually a chemical reaction that makes men super H, and we got to get our rocks off. That's what it is. And some men can't contain themselves. Some men cannot control themselves, and they do silly, stupid stuff like going to mess with children. You know, or they'll force themselves on a woman out in the streets. So, I mean, to get rid of porn, that would be difficult because it's free and available on the internet and it's out there. And then you have more and more these tranny porn, man on man porn, chicks with porn, and we're seeing this. And then on top of that, we got to go watch TV, right? Regular network television. We're seeing two men kissing. We're seeing men dressing up as women, women dressing up as men. We see men fighting women in cage matches for MMA fights, and we see women trying to fight men in a cage fight and all that. So, I mean, it's just a lot of things going against us right now. We might have to unplug, you know. Like I mentioned, I have discernment. I am unable to be brainwashed and manipulated and put under a spell by what they call entertainment. It just doesn't happen for me, you know. Um, I like to look at my phone, you know. I like to watch YouTube videos and do research and look at different things, and you know, it's right here in my hand, you know. Um, but my wife thinks I'm on my phone too much, you know. But I could, when we went camping, when I go camping, I don't have to have my phone. Like I'm out there enjoying nature. So I know how to put it down when I need to. And there are things I got to work on myself as well. So yeah, all of us need work. No one is perfect. I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? My wife's not perfect. My children ain't perfect. Well, they are perfect actually. They're perfect for now. They're perfect. They're very perfect. So you hear that? What'd you say, son? No, come look in the camera and say it. Stand on your nuts and say it. Give me 5. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So my son's always perfect. No one else really is. You know, my daughters are perfect. I'm not gonna lie about that. My children are perfect. Anyway, so you might have to unplug, man, completely. And we can also use this technology to our advantage. We like what I'm doing now. I'm spreading a message. You know, I'm trying to spread a message. I mean, I don't have a lot of. I got 4 followers. I got 4 subscribers right now, and no one has come to see my videos yet. Not many, but that's okay. That's okay. Because if I do grow, if I grow into something, you know what I'm saying? My book does well. I published a book. It's called The Seeds of Dark Matter Disease. It's a very good book. Very good book. Very good story. Some rich characters. A good amount of action. Some great character development. Good prose. You know, it's a great story. It's very compelling. A lot of surprises, a lot of twists and turns. I'm building a universe with this story. I'm building a universe. So, much like the Star Trek or Star Wars universe, it's going to be a black universe. You know, well, it's going to be a universe created by a black man that I hope will be so epic and large that other writers can take and branch stories off from it. You know, that's the good thing about creating a universe. There's many possibilities, but you know, I'm going to plug my book a little bit. It's the main character's name is Wakan, and he's a former U.S. Army Ranger, and he's working out of Florida right at the time of a nationwide disaster that occurs. All planes are grounded, and public transportation is pretty much abandoned. Um, and his family is in California, so he has to he has to cross the country to get back to his family. So he's deep South Florida, like Miami, and he's got to make his way through Florida, get out of Florida, and start making his way across the country to get to California, where his family is. Now, um, on his way out of Florida, he comes across a certain group of people who have it in them to how should I say without spoiling. He has to deal with this group of people on his way out of Florida. Um, he gets held up. Just to say that he was determined. He was determined to just go straight to his family, no distractions, no detours. But something happened that made him feel like he had to detour. And then his family in California, they have to travel from Los Angeles. They have to get to Lake Tahoe, where their home is. They have a cabin out there, a fully equipped cabin, and it's on a large property with a nice wall around it, and it's got many provisions, enough to last a couple of years. So if they make it there, they get behind those walls, they could be relatively safe from the things around them. If they can keep quiet and keep things secure, they can last a good little while. But Wakanda has to get there. But they have to get there. They get into their own trouble trying to get to this Lake Tahoe. Um, and there's many different elements. Uh, it's a nationwide pandemic. It's a disease that spreads seemingly out of nowhere and super fast. So yeah. And then one of my favorite things about one of my favorite fictional aspects is involved, with you know, zombie-like creatures, humans who are like, oh, I'm gonna bite your brains out and shit like that. But it's not a typical zombie, and the focus isn't going to be on necessarily the zombies because this is my thing. If you're going to write a long, drawn-out saga, the conflicts have to constantly change for that saga to stay interesting. So, for many in the world, if there was a zombie outbreak, that would be a major conflict for them because they wouldn't be equipped to handle it. Like they would it would be very, they would be ill-equipped. Most people would be ill-equipped to deal with something like that, and they wouldn't last very long. But for the characters in the story, well, most of them, like Wakan, the main character, the zombies are going to be more like a nuisance. Like let's say the roaches, like say you have roaches in your house or rats or something like that, and they're rabid, much like that. Now a rabid rat can be dangerous, but they can be dealt with if there's not too many of them crowding you at once. So the zombies in this story is more like a nuisance to the main character, Wakan, and not so much of a little bit more of a nuisance to his family in California, and that will be played out in the first book. So yeah, it's very very interesting. Good character development, like I said, lots of good action. It's written well, so and I'm proud of myself. It took me 3 years to get this done, and you guys should go check it out. I mean, I'm not much of a salesman, so I have to have people help me promote it and put it on blast because I am not a salesperson. Let me tell you something. That's the reason I'm an electrician. I worked at Robinson's Maybe when it still existed, and I worked on the men's collection side. And I'm not good at selling the men, because I feel like you have to be kind of flirtatious or you got to be kind of flattering, and I can't flatter men. I can't flirt with men or anything like that. Like, look, man, that shit's dope right there. I got a pair of my own. That's as far as I can go. But when I was in the women's shoe section, like Al Bundy, for a couple of days covering for somebody, I did much better, selling to women. So that's a whole nother story, Anyway, so Wakan is the Wakanda is the quintessential in the story in the Sea's Dark Matter. Wakanda is the quintessential alpha male, but you know he is a loving husband and he's a loving father, and his family adore him, and he gets shit done, and this story will show that. The story will show that, and he has certain issues that make him seem a little bit cold. He's a stoic. He's a stoic. He's not very outwardly emotional, but he's not pent up. If you get what I'm saying, like he doesn't. He's not stressing. He doesn't get shit bottled up inside of him that'll make him explode. He very much so. Uh, when he faces adversity, he likes to face it then and there and get it out the way. He doesn't let shit fester inside him. So when certain things happen and he has his rage inside of him, he finds that outlet and handles his business. And he can still be, he still has some emotion. Like he still, when certain things happen in the story, you know, you can see that he's a little bit more vulnerable. He has an arc, of course. There's all good characters have an arc, and all good stories have arcs. So he definitely has a great arc. All the characters I pretty much focus on have good arcs in the story. So I'm all about content when it comes to writing. I'm all about content and character development. And action is good. There's a good amount of action, but it has to make sense, and it can't be too overwhelming. And when there's action there's action. Like you might get a certain character might have nonstop action for a couple of days, and that's just real life. You might have nonstop action for a couple of days, and then after that, like 2 weeks of smooth sailing or something like that. In this new world that they're facing. So it's good. It's good. It's good. A lot of, like I said, a lot of twists, a lot of twists and turns, a lot of unexpected elements in this book. Because, like I said, there has to be different conflicts. From book one to book two, you have to introduce new conflicts. From book two to book three, introduce new conflicts to keep it interesting, keep it fresh. Now, the conflict has to make sense. It has to tie in well. So, I already have in mind what I want to do with this whole saga that I'm writing. The first three books are going to start off in the middle of the story that I'm writing for this particular universe. It's going to be starting with the first book that Wakanda's in. You get 3 books there, right? That's a trilogy for him and his story. And then for the second, for the the next trilogy is going to take place before that, before the events that Wakanda starts in. So it sets up that story, and it's gonna be a lot of different stuff going on in those first 3 books than in the second 3 books, because it's a whole. The first 3 books are going to be a lot more, a lot less grounded in reality, I'll say, than the second 3 books. And in the second 3 books, you'll see hints of it. It's not going to be thrown in your face like that. Like, let's say paranormal stuff or psychic stuff. That's going to be introduced a little bit at a time in this middle trilogy for Wakanda's story, because he's a grounded hero, pretty much. And all the people in that story are grounded heroes. They're all grounded. I'll say that. The people that I focus on are very grounded at the time. So the first 3 books is going to be a little different than that. You're going to see more stuff. So if I wrote the first 3 books first, it would just give away too much. I wanted to introduce the middle story to kind of, keep you interested, keep you locked in. Like, what happened before this? Because I bring stuff up in this middle trilogy that people might be like, what the heck is he talking about? What is this? What is this? What is that? What's going on here? Like, who is this? Who is that? And then in the So that's going to be explained in the first trilogy, and in the last trilogy, that's going to be super raw. It's going to be balls to the wall, all out, just everything coming to a head. That's going to be the last conflict, and that conflict is going to be huge. I'm talking about. I might have to do 4 trilogies. 4 different conflicts. Might have to do that. But as long as it makes sense, because that last conflict I'm introducing, boy oh boy, boy oh boy oh boy, that is going to be, it's going to be raw. It's going to be huge. It's probably going to be the hugest conflict anyone has ever written, guaranteed. The hugest, the most in-depth, the most complicated and complex conflict that you'll ever see in a book. Like in a book, in a movie, it's gonna be bigger than Thanos. It's gonna be bigger than Galactus. It's gonna be bigger than all them cats, guaranteed. So, it's not good. It's not even. It's gonna be bigger than life, but not so much. So it's gonna be in your life. It's already there. It already exists in the world. So, yeah. Anyway, gotta get my baby some food. So I'll be talking to y'all later. Keep the alpha male alive. It's very important.